This is how you turn your desire for porn into a desire for God. I know this sounds crazy, but this is something you can do, okay? A part of becoming a better person, closer to God, is understanding that Jesus came to redeem humanity. There's this weird trend in Christian spaces where you kind of just, there's like people hate being humans and want to go to heaven immediately. It's like, well, you were made a human for a reason, and you were made in God's image, okay? Humans are in a fallen state. We need Jesus, but you're not supposed to hate your humanity. It's what God made you, right? So what you're trying to do is not trying to hate your humanity. What you're trying to do is trying to purify humanity through Jesus. That's why Jesus came to redeem humans. When God told Eve that the serpents will be struck by the heel, he's talking about Jesus. That's a prophecy of Jesus. So when you have these desires, okay, you can think of them as things that are not inherently wrong or bad, but they're things that have been malformed, okay? Because remember, a part of Christian theology is that nothing is inherently wrong or bad. You may think, well, what about Satan? Well, Satan was once an angel. He was Lucifer the angel, and then he fell and rebelled. God made the angel Lucifer. Can God create anything bad? No, and that goes for all of creation. No creation has been inherently evil, but it's been perverted. It's been perverted by humans bringing about sin, coming from the fallen angel of Lucifer, Satan, who is the leader of all the fallen angels, right? Those are demons. So, with that understanding, you have to understand that what you're trying to do when you're trying to quit porn, when you're trying to quit any other bad habit, any other vice, because porn is just one of many different 7 deadly sins, lust, greed, envy, etc. There's a bunch of different things you can deal with. What you have to understand is that these things are things that could be a positive, but they have been perverted into a negative. For example, lust. There's such thing as being married and having kids and having sex. There's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is when you take that desire and then you start perverting it into sleeping with a bunch of girls or just coming on your wall from looking at big booty Latinas on Pornhub. Okay? So, that's the first thing you have to understand. You have to understand that you're not trying to get rid of it, you're trying to purify it. And here's the thing, if you try getting rid of it, it tries going like, no porn, no. Does that ever work? Okay, as someone who used to be an S-tier gooner, I used to be a big-time gooner. Okay, big time. That didn't work. I tried for years saying, I'm not going to do it. I always did it. It only stopped and changed when my mind changed about it, when I started seeing it for what it is. So, this won't be a full-out how to quit porn guide. That's going to be for my course. That's going to be on YouTube, completely free. It's going to be like 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours. Best video, might even be more, honestly. It might even be 8. Best video in the mind that will ever be published in the history of content. It's going to be better than any book. It's going to be better than any other YouTube video. I know everyone keeps asking me when it's going to come. It's coming. And I'm still working on some theories. And reading up on a few things. But in any case, this will be a very condensed guide. But I want to mainly focus on the transmutation aspect, which is the aspect that actually gets you to quit. Or just turn the desire for porn into desire for God. So, first, you need to turn on your brain. Okay? I want you to think about porn is like a tool. It's a tool that perverted aspects of you uses in order to fulfill a void within you. So, for instance, a void a lot of people have is related to their, when it comes to porn, it's related to female attention. Let's say they feel like they get no female attention. They feel like they get no woman looking at them, and they feel a void because of that within themselves. It's like, oh, no, I just want the touch of a woman. I just want to feel the presence of a woman, and it's like this void within them. And then they get introduced to porn. And what happens is that the rogue aspects of themselves that are living in this void lunge at it because they see it as a way to compensate. It's a coping mechanism. They take it, and that's how an addiction starts. Then there's the dopamine aspects, which just create the flywheel of addiction, right? Then you're stuck in the cycle. So, and many people will tell you addictions like that. They'll say, well, I mean, one day you just end up watching it, and then you got your dopamine transmitters and your neurotransmitters. I mean, they just really went crazy, and then, you couldn't stop. No, it's more than just what your brain chemicals are doing. That is a part of it, but first and foremost, it is spiritual. It is mental. Okay, there's a void within you that you're using porn to cope with. So, the first thing to do is understand what void this specifically is and what events have led to that void. In my experience with working with people, one thing that is very commonly the void, it has to do with the mother, right? Either they got a lot of attention from their mom when they were growing up and now they don't get as much, or their mom gave them no attention. And there's also things related to interactions with women in their day-to-day lives. So, in any case, in order to figure out this root cause, what you have to do is get out a book, paper, get a pen, and when you feel an urge, and this is something you have to develop, it's something you have to try. First, you have to think about it, right? You have to think about, why am I doing this? Even when you don't have the urge, like right now, if you're currently addicted. Don't worry, I'm not going to sell you anything. What I will tell you is that if you are liking this video, you will love my Discord. Because my Discord is an uncensored version of my YouTube content, and I also talk about a bunch of different subjects. You know, this video is probably just about one thing, and there I talk about fitness, and there I talk about geopolitics, and there I talk about philosophy, psychology, anything you can name, history, etc. I talk about it all in the Discord. Uncensored content I cannot put on YouTube. And it would also help you out because you can access me on my Discord. As of right now, you can literally send a message in there, ping me, and I will respond to help you with whatever you need. That being said, just back to the video. Think about the urge. Why do you have the urge? Trying to get something out. Okay, it's more than just, well, when I touch my wee-wee, it feels good. That's not why you go. Okay, there's a much deeper aspect to it. It's not why you watch porn. There's a much deeper aspect to it. Okay? Deeper, no pun intended. So, after that, you want to develop some kind of awareness, and this kind of branches out to other ideas I have, but in general, you just want to try and be more aware of your surroundings. What am I doing right now? Why am I doing it? Ask yourself that question throughout the day. And at some point, you're going to feel an urge. You're going to go feel like gooning. What you must do is get your pen, get your notepad, and write out, draw the figure. Actually, I'm going to show you the figure I drew for something unrelated. It wasn't related to porn, but it was related to another thing. Because there's multiple different ways to think about the archetypes within you. And this is what these are. Okay, what you're being moved by is an archetype within you. It's this force within you that's overtaking your desire. Because your desire is not to watch porn. Okay, you don't say to yourself, well, I'm gonna watch porn. No, you're like, I don't want to watch porn. But then this other part of you like overtakes you, and then you're like feel forced to go do it. So there's some examples of archetypes. Okay, some examples, and the one you're gonna be dealing with is gonna be this one. Okay, this is seductress, and the seductress will always appear unless you're homosexual, in which case, I mean. You're going to deal with this. Okay, it's going to come in as a beautiful woman. In this case, big boobs, big hips, the way I like it. And teen. If you don't have teen, I ain't going in. Okay, be a bit serious. Okay, so seductress, it's going to look like that. So what you're going to do is you want to dialogue. You want to talk to this figure. Okay, you may think, well, it's just a picture. It's just a drawing. I mean, how is that going to change? You are not a monkey. You are not an ape. Okay? Think of how humans have communicated over the thousands of years we've existed. It's always through stories, it's through pictures, through ideas. Okay? When you think of Rocky Balboa, you think of, oh, you know, he was a boxer, he was in the dumps, and you know, he made something of his life, and you know, such an inspiring story. Rocky Balboa isn't real. Rocky Balboa is an actor named Sylvester Stallone pretending to be a boxer and pretending out voice lines that in a very awkward way where they're talking to a camera when no one's actually there. But the thing is, it's a story, so it resonates with you and changes your inside. This is how you have to communicate with yourself. Okay, you need to do this, especially if you're an introvert. If you're someone who kind of likes being to themselves and thinking in your head, you need to do this. Okay, non-negotiable. Because then what thoughts you do not give form to will torment you. So anyways, this is how humans think. Okay, it's through symbols, ideas, and whatever. Right? When you think of Jesus, you don't think of, well, Jesus Christ was a 30-year-old Palestinian Jew who was crucified by the Romans. No. You think of, that is the Son of God. who took up the cross so I could be saved. It's much deeper. It's archetypal. It's a story. Okay, get out of being a monkey. All right, you're not just, I see man, I see banana, I eat banana. No. It's more. So anyways, you draw this archetype of the seductress, right? And that's probably the one dealing with you. It might be like a phantom, which is like your dark side. I think I have one. Yeah, right here. So, this one, right here. And that's an early form of seductress I drew. But, here, that's a phantom. It's like a shadow. It's a ghost. In my case, it's a ghost. For you, it might look different. Okay? But, in my case, these are the ones I drew. So, what we want to do is we want to talk to whatever force, whatever drawing you have brought out of you. You just want to talk to them like, why do I feel the need to do this? Why should I go goon? Why should I? And you're going to get a very different answers. In someone's case, it might be, well, you deserve it, you suck, and all this different stuff. That's a very negative cycle. It could be that, you want love and you want nurturing, and, that's why you do it. You feel like you get that from this, etc. But in any case, whatever comes out, you want to work with it. You want to play with it, okay? Don't try too hard to do this stuff. And once you come to a certain point of realization, right, there's going to be start looping. You're going to start hearing the same thing over and over again where you're dialoguing with them. And when that happens, what you have to do is very simple. All you do from that point is either try to ask for a resolution to keep being negative, just relax. Because remember, porn is, any addiction is playing off of the fact that you are so invested in quitting. Because think about it, when you're like, I don't want to watch porn, no porn. You're thinking about porn, right? So this stage of just not caring that much. Like for instance, Denmark. You need to go to Denmark. Right? You're not like, no, I don't need to go to Denmark. Oh my God. You're just like, Denmark. I mean, yeah, I know what Denmark is, but why would I go to Denmark? And, what does that have to do with this conversation? That's how porn should be. Porn should just be something you're indifferent to. Okay, you just don't. So something. Well, why would I do that? It's bad. People shouldn't do it, but why would I do it? That's such a weird thing. And that's how you quit porn. When you're just like, why do I watch porn? That's when you quit. But in any case, if it's not working with you, it's being annoying, which sometimes these forces within you will be. You go like, okay, whatever. We'll go our separate ways for now. And if you do that, that alone will help a lot with urges. But after a while, these forces start becoming mentors. This is when they get purified. And they start helping you. And that's when you start reaching resolution within yourself. And that's when you stop feeling the need to fill the void within you. And then when that happens, you have control of this energy. Because I want you to understand how this works. Alright. So this is... You get an object. Pencil and a pen. Okay? So this is sexual energy. Make it a phallic symbol. This is sexual energy. Right? It doesn't just exist within you, sexual energy. What is it's your psychic energy, all the energy within you gets moved to sexual energy and then boner, goon, right? But here's the thing. You can control where this energy goes. So when you can control these forces, you can control the energy within you. When you can control the energy within you, what happens is you can then kind of think to yourself, you feel horny. You feel this energy. What happens is not that you just immediately go goon. You start having a bit more control. You can start feel the horniness, feel the energy. And what we want to do is think about something you want to think about. So in this case, it would be God. So start thinking about something better, something higher. And if you're able to do this properly and you have proper control, over time, it's a skill. You'll start taking that energy and you start moving it towards God. And that's transmutation. You're not destroying the energy because remember, you learned it at school. You can't destroy energy. You can only transfer it. Kinetic to mechanical, mechanical to kinetic. Right? So what you're doing is taking this energy from one thing, turning to another. Right? And when you do that, over time, it becomes natural because the reason why you are addicted to porn and can't stop thinking about porn is not because porn is inherently this thing that you just need to think about. It's because there's a high emotional state. There's arousal, right? Horniness, like, oh, I need it, along with a thought. So the idea of porn. When you think about it is feeling this This feeling is like a fire, and the thought is like water. When it boils, it gives off the steam, and the steam is like your habits, your ideas, what you think about, and what you do, right? It's like the mental plane. So, what you're trying to do is you're trying to move these thoughts, transmute them into thoughts about God, and you keep that fire. So now you're on fire for God, and then boom, right? That's what your mental plane's stuck on. That's what you start thinking about. So, that force that was moving towards porn starts moving towards God. And I know this is a 10 or whatever minute video, but believe me, this works. You need to give it time, okay? And this goes for everything else, okay? You need to see how many figures I've drawn, and there's even more in my other book. You have to draw the stuff, right? And you have to speak to it, you have to dialogue with it. So it's not just something like Seductress, right? Maybe I deal with self-criticism a lot. So I don't know, maybe the critic is involved, right? It's different for each person. So, whatever you do, all right, what you have to do is very simple. It's simple, it may not be easy, it may take some time, but it's literally just that process, right? And over time, you'll feel less and less connected to porn. Like, one really good indicator is kind of when, because you know when you get like, there's going to come a point where it's like you have to convince yourself to watch porn, because you kind of have the habit, and then you kind of just think, and if you're improving your mental ability, your observational skills, you kind of start thinking, like, I don't really want to go watch porn, but like a part of me just kind of like convinced me to do it. I'm not really interested in it. That's when you know you're about to quit, because now it's becoming less and less a part of you, and eventually it just falls away. It's porn addiction, and these figures that were propping up the porn addiction move to the good side. They become mentors, they become people that you can listen to within yourself, right? It's kind of like a conscious, like a moral conscious, right? And when you think of your mind like that, when you have these drawings, obviously these things are parts of your mind. I'm not saying like there's a literal seductress that's walking around, right? These are part of your imagination, which is a very vast thing, and you are controlled by your imagination. You're not controlled by, actually the logical assumption of that. You don't think like that, okay? So, you weren't made to think solely like that. So, do what I said, and over time, you're going to realize this porn addiction getting easier and easier, and be able to change the desire for porn into a desire for God, and that's going to be a very good thing for your soul, right? Because you get closer to God. Remember, when you sin, you get farther away from God. When you try engaging with God, you get closer to God. This is going to help a lot with those people that say that they can't hear God or feel God, etc. Right? So, that's very helpful.